Walk into any gun show and you'll see it. Tables of guns nobody wants at the asking price. Not because they're broken, because the resale market already decided what they're worth. This isn't a list of bad guns, it's 15 firearms the numbers say you shouldn't count on for resale, counting down to the one collectors call unrecoverable. Number 15 is not one gun. It is an entire category. Limited editions where nothing was actually limited in a way that mattered. A manufacturer adds a nickel finish, a special serial range, and the word limited stamped near the caliber marking, and buyers assume scarcity follows automatically. It does not. Scarcity only creates value when demand already exists for the base gun. A 5,000 unit special edition of a rifle nobody wanted at full retail does not become valuable because the box says 1 of 5,000. It becomes an ordinary rifle with a nicer box. Collectors who chase these editions on release day are often the same people trying to unload them 2 years later, discovering that the aftermarket never cared about the label in the first place. Number 14. Guns sold on a story instead of paperwork. A pistol supposedly carried by a famous officer. A rifle rumored to have shipped from one specific arsenal. Without a documented chain of custody, meaning receipts, unit records, or a verifiable serial number match, that story is just a story, and the resale market treats it that way. Major auction houses will tell collectors the same thing every time. Provenance without documentation does not move the final price. Buyers pay a premium at the counter for the legend, then discover the next buyer wants proof, not folklore, and the markup evaporates the moment the gun changes hands again. Number 13. Custom builds from unrecognized gunsmiths. A hand-fitted stock or a reblued action can look genuinely impressive sitting on a workbench, but the resale market does not pay for effort, it pays for reputation. A rifle built by a nationally known custom house holds value because that name carries verified engineering behind it. The identical modification, done with the same skill by an unknown smith working out of a garage, often subtracts value instead of adding it because now a buyer has to verify the work was done safely, from headspace to trigger geometry, before they will trust the gun at all. Reputation in the custom gun market functions as a kind of engineering credential. Without it, even excellent work gets priced like a question mark. Number 12. Surplus military rifles marketed as rare when millions of the exact same rifle rolled off the same production lines. Sellers love the word collectible on a battlefield rifle, but genuine collectible value depends on documented rarity, a specific arsenal stamp, an unusually low production run, or a traceable capture history. A rifle built by the hundreds of thousands, with no distinguishing marks and no paper trail, is common no matter how old it gets. Age alone has never created scarcity. If a factory built 2 million of something during wartime, there are, somewhere, still roughly 2 million of them. And history simply does not delete inventory. The rifles that do command real premiums are the outliers within that production run, not the run itself. Number 11. Modern commemorative editions, tied to an anniversary, a branch of service, or a historical milestone. Manufacturers produce these in batches large enough to meet launch day demand, which is exactly the problem. Genuine collectibles are defined by scarcity, and a production run built specifically to sell out at retail was never scarce to begin with. A 100-year anniversary rifle with gold inlay looks exclusive sitting alone in a display case. It looks considerably less exclusive next to the other 4,000 units sitting in display cases across the country. Number 10. The new production Colt Python. Colt revived the Python in 2020 to enormous hype, chasing the reputation the original built through the 1950s and 60s as, arguably, the finest production revolver Hartford ever machined. But hype builds a price ceiling that the gun itself still has to earn, and early quality control complaints, timing issues, and inconsistent cylinder gaps took the shine off fast. Buyers paying well over $1,500 for the new version expect vintage Python smoothness out of the box. When the fit and finish do not fully deliver, the resale market prices in the disappointment, not the nostalgia. Number 9. The Marlin 795, a perfectly functional semi-automatic .22 that never built a following of its own. It exists in the shadow of one rifle, the Ruger 1022, which has decades of aftermarket support, a massive parts ecosystem, and a cultural reputation the 795 never earned despite comparable performance. When a rifle becomes known as the other one in its own category, resale buyers treat it accordingly, offering backup option money for a gun that cycles just as reliably as its far more famous rival. Number 8. The Mossberg Blaze. On paper, a lightweight polymer .22 rifle sounds appealing to any budget-minded shooter. In practice, owners found the build quality felt closer to a toy than a tool, and the accuracy never quite matched what rimfire buyers expect from a serious plinking or training rifle. Once that reputation spread through gun forums and range conversations, resale prices dropped well below comparable used Ruger 1022s and Marlin Model 60s, and the gap never closed back up. Number 7. The Remington 770, a budget bolt-action hunting rifle engineered by trimming cost wherever Remington's accountants could find it. A simplified action, a lighter barrel profile, a stock with more flex than hunters like to feel at the shoulder. It shoots. It simply does not shoot with the confidence its full-priced siblings do. And once a rifle earns a reputation for cut corners, that reputation is almost impossible to machine back out. Shops routinely price a used 770 well under comparable bolt guns because buyers already know the story before they even pick it up. Number 6. The Winchester Wildcat, a modern semi-automatic .22 that launched with real promise and one of the most trusted names in American firearms stamped on the receiver. Early production runs, though, delivered spotty accuracy and inconsistent cycling, the kind of first impression that sticks in a shooter's memory far longer than any advertisement. A name like Winchester usually protects resale value on its own merits. It could not fully insulate the Wildcat from a rocky launch, and used prices still reflect a rifle working to rebuild the trust its earliest batches spent. Later production runs corrected much of the accuracy inconsistency, but the used market rarely distinguishes between an early serial number and a fixed one, and prices it as if every unit came off the first assembly run. Number 5. The early Taurus PT111 G2. The pistol that came before the G2C found its footing in the budget carry market. Finished durability problems and occasional reliability issues plagued the first production runs coming out of Taurus's Brazilian factory, and even though later engineering revisions genuinely improved the platform, the stigma from those early guns still drags down resale value across the entire lineage. Buyers shopping the used market cannot always tell an early problem gun from a later, genuinely solid one, so they end up pricing all of them like the early one. Number 4. High-point pistols, the poster child for what the industry nicknames Ring of Fire guns, budget firearms built from cast zinc alloy and deliberately oversized so cheaper materials can safely handle the pressure of firing. Hi-Point built its entire reputation on affordability and an unusually generous lifetime warranty, not on resale value, and the market reflects exactly that trade-off. A Hi-Point functions reliably enough for the price point it occupies, but the used market treats these pistols almost like a consumable purchase. Buy it, use it, sell it for a fraction of the sticker price, because nobody is chasing a Hi-Point as a future collector's item. Number 3. The SIG Sauer P250. When SIG's P320 launched with the modular, serialized fire control unit the industry had been asking for, the company quietly phased out the P250 that came before it. That left a flood of used P250s sitting on the market with nowhere to go. No factory upgrade path, no growing accessory ecosystem, no compelling reason for a new buyer to choose it over a P320 sitting right next to it in the case. Prices on used P250s have collapsed accordingly, and they are genuinely difficult to move, even heavily discounted, because buyers know exactly what they would be buying into, a dead-end platform. Number 2. The Taurus Spectrum, a pocket .380 engineered with rounded, almost jewelry-like styling to stand out from a sea of identical black polymer pocket guns. The market did not reward the design risk. Early reliability reports were inconsistent, and the unusual aesthetic never built the loyalty Taurus needed to keep resale prices propped up. Today, Spectrums routinely show up online for under $200, box and accessories included, because owners would rather clear space in the safe than wait for a buyer who probably is not coming. And number 1, the gun that became the industry's cautionary tale, the Remington R51. Remington relaunched the R51 as a retro-styled, easy-carry pistol built around genuinely clever internal mechanics. A locked breech design meant to tame recoil in a lightweight frame, and the marketing built real anticipation before a single unit reached a store shelf. Then early production reached actual shooters, and the problems surfaced fast. Feeding malfunctions, recoil harsher than the pistol's size suggested it should produce, a trigger heavier than the segment expected. Remington eventually released a Gen 2 version that fixed several of the underlying mechanical issues, but by then, the reputation was already locked in. Gun owners do not forget a rocky launch, and the letters R51 stamped on a slide are often enough to end a sale before negotiations even start. You can find them today for a fraction of the original asking price, reliable or not, fixed or not, because trust, once lost in this market, almost never comes back. So what actually connects all 15? It is never really about whether a gun works. Every firearm on this list still fires exactly as designed, and plenty of owners shoot them happily for years without a single issue. What tanks resale value is trust, a rocky launch, an oversaturated release, a name borrowed from something more famous than the gun earned the right to use. Once buyers lose confidence in a platform, the market rarely hands that confidence back, no matter how many years pass or how many quiet engineering fixes a company makes along the way. To be clear, none of this is financial advice. Firearms are tools first, and the best reason to own any gun on this list is still the same reason it has always been, because you actually want to shoot it. But if resale value matters to you before you buy, the pattern in this list is worth remembering. Which one surprised you the most?